Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ohio State Primetime Live, presented by FanDuel here at Ohio State, the voice of college football. I am your host, Garrison Gaddy, as always, on a Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. If you also like to check out our website, www.bocfb.com, you can check out all of our awesome writers and that keep you up to date with what's going around the college football landscape, and also check out our weekly schedule that will keep you up to date with everything that's on here also. Well, everybody, a lot to talk about here. Well, not too much, but a lot of things that I actually want to spend some time on today. We're going to talk about Ohio State's new offensive coordinator hire in Arthur Smith and how I feel about that right now and how I think Ohio State fans should probably feel about that. Also going to talk about some of the offseason, some of the players this offseason that I think need to progress in order for Ohio State to reach its, if not their peak, close to it. But first, I want to start out with some of the biggest news. I think probably the biggest news in college football right now, and that has to start with Dabo Sweeney and the situation that's going on with Luke Farrelly over at an Ole Miss, which now contains the NCAA. So this is the first thing I want to say about this. Dabo's right. Dabo is right to be doing what he's doing. I think that. And trust me, I'm one of them. I talked about it on X the other day. I'm one of those same people who is highly annoyed by Dabo at times. I think sometimes he can try to lean too far one way or the other. And I'm one of those people that I try to live my life even kill. I try to stay in the middle as much as I can possible. But I think on some things, like when it comes to the transfer portal, when it comes to NIL, and things of that nature, he has been behind. Now, a lot of that has to do with his moral compass and how he feels about a lot of things. And I can't be mad at him. I can't begrudge him of that. But that doesn't mean I think he's right. But this right here in this specific instance, he is. Dabo Sweeney came on a few days ago this week. Friday, actually. It was Friday night. I wish he would have done that on a Monday. But on a Friday, and basically mapped out what had been going on between Luke Farrelly, the linebacker, who had a great season last year in the ACC as a Cal Bear, then took his talents over to Clemson, and then the 11th hour, Farrelly, he's in the portal, he's gone. He's going to Ole Miss, and he lays out a track record of text messages, honestly, it was an awesome timeline of how things were happening and how Luke Farrelly would ended up with Ole Miss and how the whole deal went down and how everything transpired. And essentially accusing Ole Miss of tampering. Now, we all know tampering is widespread around college football. And truth be told, it's been happening for a long time now. I would say probably really rampant over the last 10, 15 years, maybe, but especially now. And I don't think I can't prove that Ohio State is doing it. I can't prove that Oregon or Alabama or whoever else is doing it. But I think I would be naive, or I think anybody else would be somewhat naive to believe that their college football program isn't tampering to some extent. Now, the hard part about it is proving someone is actually going out and doing so, that they're actually going out and tampering with your player. Matter of fact, let's do this real quick, because some people, for some odd reason, some people don't think it is a rule. But I'm going to pull it up right here so that I can clearly stated to you guys what this rule is and what section and all that good stuff. So here we go. Let's look up tampering NCAA rule. So NCAA tampering rules by law 13114 strictly prohibits coaches, staff, or boosters from contacting student athletes enrolled at another institution or their families/coaches to induce a transfer before the athlete officially enters the transfer portal. Unauthorized communication, directly or indirectly, is illegal, although often difficult to enforce. And of course, we all know that it's difficult to enforce. But right here, it seemed if I wish Dabo would have allowed everyone else to see it. I wish he would have made copies and gave it to the press while he did it. I think that would have given him a better, probably give him a better leg up on the situation. And the NCAA has already said that they're about to investigate this. We're going to talk about that in a second. A lot of people, I've had this conversation for a few years now, and a lot of people think that integrity has been lost in the sport. Now, for me personally, I do not. I do think in anywhere in life, integrity is important. And what I'm not going to be mad about Dabo Sweeney here is continuing to do that. He's a guy who tries to have high integrity. And more times than not, he honestly does. Honestly, he does. And so when he goes out there, and some people are saying, "Oh, he's snitching," which technically isn't snitching, because the snitch, you got to be involved in doing it yourself, and you can't prove that Clemson is. Nor do I think Dabo Sweeney runs his program that way. But you can't be mad at someone for doing the right thing. And I've seen, and honestly, I could take it deeper. We all could, and just in our everyday life. But just in terms of this situation, why is everyone upset at Dabo for when something happens to him that goes against the bylaws of the sport, and he catches a team of what it seems red-handed? Why is he wrong for enforcing a rule? One of my favorite quotes is, "We have rule what is it? If we didn't have rules, we would live with the animals." And I love that quote. I believe in that quote, and I think that lies here. Also, on top of that, and I said the same thing when it came to the Wolverines and their whole sign gate thing, the scandal they had with cheating. And I said, could other teams be doing this the way you guys do it? Probably so. You were just dumb enough to get caught. And for Ole Miss, I mean, before the kid's even in the portal, you're going out there contacting him. You are texting him while he's at his 8 a.m. class saying, "Hey, I know you're in classes. I know you already signed a deal, but you've already broken the rule." And then, as he said, Dabo gives you he extends you some grace and lets you know what he's going to do if you continue to do it, and you continue to do it. It's kind of like when your parents tell you don't put your hand on the stove and you stupidly keep doing it. You get a whooping, or you get timeout for some people. And that's seemingly that's what's happening right now. And I think that when you look at the fact that now we've had someone who's actually willing to, and honestly, I'm not surprised by who the coach is. I think for most other programs, you're not going to see a lot of guys do this, especially in places like the SEC, where things are a little bit more scandalous. But now you've had a coach go out there and do it, because I think it's really scary for a coach to go out there and say, "Yeah, they're tampering," because then they're going to say, "Okay, but what about you?" Well, Dabo seems very confident. So Dabo's gone out there. He's done it, and we have to see what the NCAA does. They said they're going to investigate this. We'll see how much power they actually hold in this, and honestly, but the truth of the matter is, if everything Dabo said is true, if he has all those text messages, if he has all that proof, it's hard for me to believe that Ole Miss isn't going to get some type of fines, maybe reduction in scholarships and things of that nature. And honestly, reduction of scholarships might not matter as much anymore, because I think teams are going to start shrinking. They're shrinking. I mean, honestly, as we kind of see Ohio State doing right now. But yeah, man, I'm fully for this. I'm with it. And again, I don't believe anybody is above reproach. If this was my own program, I would sit here and say, "Hey, we were dumb enough to get caught. If it happened to Ohio State, what else could I say? I can't sit here and say, yeah, but this, yeah, but that, and the other thing." No. And I've been very clear on this. What we don't get to do here is say, "Hey, babe, I know I did this to you, but look what Jack and Larry are doing to their wives." I don't play that game. So yeah, man, shout out to Dabo Sweeney. Hey man, you still got that integrity. I can't be mad at you. I not over here, not at this show, not at this program. No, sirree. I think Dabo's doing the correct thing right now. And again, don't if you're gonna do scandalous things, don't be dumb enough to get caught. Like I can't. I was listening to Ari and shoot, can't remember his name. I was listening to them earlier, and they were talking, and they were like basically they were talking about, say, if you're walking across the street, right, you're jaywalking. Well, the truth of the matter is jaywalking is against the law. And do I think it's a dumb law? To an extent, it protects people from doing dumb stuff and getting hit by cars. It protects the drivers also. But I can't be like, by the way, everyone, shout out to everyone. Hey, shout out to Evie for reposting, man. Dave Green shit. Always good to see you in here, man. Steve, shout out to you. But Steve says, I'm anti-Dabo. Fuck that crybaby. You can say that. And everyone can have their opinions. And I have no problem with Steve saying that. But Steve, my guy, excuse me. What did Dabo do wrong? Like, and that's my overall thing. What did Dabo do wrong right here? Tell me one thing, Steve, that he did wrong, and I will say you got it. I will concede. Now I can tell you what Ole Miss did wrong. Before the kid was in the portal, you're over here texting him photos of $1 million checks. You are a fucking idiot. If you know, excuse my language, if you know what the rules are, why are you doing that? Now I know why you're doing it, but why make it so obvious? You're then again, if it's either you don't get caught or you're dumb enough to do so, and that's what happened to him. And this isn't the first time Ole Miss over the last 10 years has been in trouble. Call it like it is, because at the end of the day, Ole Miss is they're actually a really small institution. Ole Miss doesn't have the money that a lot of other big time programs have in the Power Four. Like if they were in the Big Ten, they probably wouldn't be in the top half. They'd be near the bottom in terms of revenue. I get it. Lane Kiffin probably took some of your players. Other programs did too. But hey, man, it is what it is. But that's all I gotta say about that. Again, I'm really interested to see where this goes, and I'm not gonna put any faith in the NCAA in doing what's right. I think the NCAA is somewhat weak. Shout out to my guy Bryce Sack, my best friend Bryce Sack. He's been on us for some time. I mean, he just vehemently hates the NCAA. I don't. I think they still have a purpose, but it's not as big as it used to be. But again, everybody, if you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe to the channel. Like the content that we bring to you here at Ohio's The Voice of College Football and The Voice of College Football in general. We have Oklahoma. We have North Carolina. We have Oregon. We have the team up north. Listen, man, we got it all here. About 60-plus programs here for you. And more than likely, we have yours, especially if it's in the Power Four. But before we continue, everybody, quick message here from the Voice of College Football.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
And real quick, I want to say this real quick because it does affect my job that I do with my everyday life, my career. But if you're in Nashville, Tennessee, man, I hope you guys are being safe down there or anywhere else in the South. I saw like a lot of power lines went out, man. Like 22 people have, sadly passed on because of this weather. Yeah, it looks like hell down there. So I hope a lot of you guys that are around the nation going through this weather, and especially in places that aren't built for to have the infrastructure like people in the Midwest do or the Northeast do. Hope you guys are doing okay, man, over there, and hope you guys are staying safe and warm, and hope you didn't raid the whole market or grocery store so you actually have something left. But let's move on to the big news here for Ohio State, somewhere we're going to spend a lot of time here at. Arthur Smith hired as the new offensive coordinator for the Ohio State Buckeyes. So first I'm going to say this, because I know a lot of people aren't big on this. They're a little upset. I'm from the first standpoint, I'm not too big on this. I'm not too high on it. Like, I'm not overly happy. I'm not like, oh my God, we're back. This is the same as having Chip Kelly. We have one of the best OCs in college football, one of the best OCs in the NFL. All this is going to change everything. I'm not there. I'm not going to go that full extent. I'm not like what we call sunshine pumping. I'm also not going to sit here and say, oh man, this is a terrible hire. What the hell are we doing here, man? This guy can't. No, I'm not going to do that either. They're going to stay pretty even kill here. I think this is the right hire for right now. I think it's a good hire. I think it's I don't know if I can call it a well thought out hire yet by Ryan Day, but I'm on a hold out. I trust Ryan Day when it comes to making hires, especially at the coordinator position. That doesn't mean you're going to hit a home run every single time. Last year you didn't hit a home run when you promoted Brian Hartline, but that's a different situation. I've talked about that plenty of times. We're moving on now. But just a background on Arthur Smith. After 2 years after graduating, he got a spot with the Redskins as the defensive quality control coach. That was from 2017 to 2018. So he got a fast start. He got a really fast start. Then after that, spent 10 years with the Tennessee Titans, 2011 to 2020, was a defensive quality control coach, offensive quality control, O-line coach, then tight end coach. Then he got to OC. So it's been and honestly had one of the better offenses there that Tennessee had. I think that shout out to Juck, because I heard him say this. It was the best scoring offense the Titans had in 16 years when he took over as the OC. So that's a tip to notch on his cap right there. Then became the Atlanta Falcons offensive coordinator from 24 to 25 after getting let go there, then going to the Steelers as the offensive coordinator there. Of course, the year before he had Justin Fields, Buckeye great, and then Russell Wilson as his QB. So I don't know how much you can take from that against the NFL. So at the end of the day, you got to do your job, no matter who you have quarterbacking for you. But that is what it is. And this past season, they weren't all that great on offense, but they were pretty decent. Like, they were actually pretty good for what they had. Some of the problems that I saw about him and I've read about him, like that when he was with the Falcons, he didn't do a good job of using his young talent, guys like Bijan. I try not to take what you did in the NFL and bring it to college. And when it came to Matt Patricia, I was just high on Matt Patricia because at the end of the day, the guy has 3 Super Bowls. When that's more than 99% of the sport and from college to the NFL has accomplished. And what am I supposed to say about it? And he's just a smart guy. He's great. He's one of the best DCs of all time. So that is what it is. But that's why on this one, and shout out to my guy Mike, you can't really make this it's not an equivalency that you can really take, right? In terms of who they are as coordinators. But with that being said, he's a long-time tenured coach in the NFL. He's been a guy he's well respected in the NFL. He was about to go take interviews for OC positions and other positions in the NFL, and chose to come to Ohio State. And mind you, Ohio State, the offensive coordinator position at Ohio State at the current time was the best job in college football and one of the best jobs in football in general, right? So you can understand why a guy like him would want to come to Ohio State and take the job. Also, why not come to Ohio State? You get you're gonna play with some of the best talent, or coach some of the best talent there, right? And you get a chance to show what you can do, then get yourself back into the NFL talks as maybe a OC at a really good team, on a really good team or a talented team, or be another head coach somewhere in the NFL. And we know every year, depending, there's 5 to 9 jobs available in the NFL. So there's that. On top of that, I'm really curious on what he looks like with Ohio State. He's an offensive line guy. And this is just my opinion about offensive line coaches when it comes to them being coordinators. They like to run the ball, which is a fact, and which is what he likes to do. And they're pretty stubborn. They are. Mario Cristobal has been known for being that. He's an O-line guy, and a lot of people have said, he gets in the way of his offensive coordinators when he was the head coach. Now, of course, it's a different scenario because he's calling the plays. So, something to know about him, he's run heavy, wide zone. That's what he does in the run game. He's very respected for how he orchestrates his run game. He's very good at it. On the other side of that now, when it comes to passing, that's not his forte. And that's where we're going to talk about something soon here. A lot of 12, 13 personnel, play action, RPO. That's his style. Somewhat kind of what Indiana had ran this past season over the last 2 seasons, in all quite honesty. Highly effective in the red zone, though. And that comes with the run game. Again, when you're in the red zone, we all know this, the field shrinks. Everything's more collapsed. You have to be able to run the ball effectively to be effective in the red zone, to be efficient in the red zone. That is his calling card. And I think if you're Ryan, I'll talk about it. I think if you're Ryan Day and you look at what you had with Chip Kelly the year before, when you saw where your run game really took off, your red zone percentage really skyrocketed from the years previous. Because for 3-4 year stretch, Ohio State wasn't really good in the red zone. And so you have that. I think that for Ryan Day, when he made this call, that was on the forefront of his mind. Get the run game going. Because I think for Ryan Day, no matter what in his system, I'm not going to talk about it yet, but I think within his system, the pass game is always going to work to an extent. Was always going to work. But if he's able to run the ball, he's going to do it. And I think he wants to run the ball more effectively. Of course, understanding that that's going to give you a better chance in the red zone. And when Arthur Smith is calling plays, he's been either near or at the top in red zone numbers. So that, of course, is a pro for Ohio State. Some of the things he needs to work on, I think. He's not good at adjustments. Hasn't been that at all. Route designs. Actually, I can't even say route concepts. Just a pass game in general, that's not his thing. It hasn't been his thing. Now, when you have quarterbacks like Tannehill, who I don't think is all that great of a quarterback, he had a couple good years. I mean, the guy was a college receiver before he became a quarterback. And then you have the Justin Fields and Russell Wilson thing of last season. And this year you have an old Aaron Rodgers. Have you been the best? Have you had the best quarterbacks in your scheme? No. But at the same time, you haven't been great at scheming it open. So those are some of the things that he needs to work on. Some of the things that I think you could call a worry. I think he needs to be able to adapt. Of course, you're coming down with the college game from the NFL. You haven't been in the college game for a very long time now, North Carolina. So what can you do with that? And also on top of that, adjusting to the players and their skill sets, which is probably most important. The money maker at Ohio State is on the perimeter. It's on the outside. He's going to have to make that work. No matter what. The run game, if it gets better, which I think it will under him, awesome. Great. No problem with it. But you got to understand where the money's made, where the bread is made. I do like him coming in and working with Tyler Bowen. I'm really interested in seeing how they construct this offensive line. I don't think I think there's some guys who started in certain positions this season. We talked about it on Thursday in the call-in show. Shout out to Cam, who called in. But we talked about it there. I think the offensive line is going to look different in terms of personnel and who's out there and where they are. I also do believe with having two guys who have been college offensive linemen who, they've been O-line coaches. One, Coach Tyler Bowen is the current O-line coach. Tyler Bowen's also been an OC, been a guy who's been really effective in the run game schemes. I think it's really cool to have those two work on things. Have them, of course, because play calling, or not play calling, but game planning is a collaborative thing. So really interested in seeing how that all works out. Oh man, wait a second. Hey man, look, we got Penn State sports talking. How you doing, man? How you doing? Good to see you right now. Let's say in Pennsylvania, the fans were not happy with his offense. I'm guessing you talk about Tyler Bowen, but I mean, you're not working with Ohio State talent over there, are you now? But good to see you in here, Penn State Sports Talk. You've been gone for a while, man. You've been gone. Good to see you. So here are my three biggest, I guess, questions or just things for Arthur Smith coming to Ohio State. Number one is construction of the offensive line, as we just talked about. Who's going to be where? I want to see how the guys, because he's going to bring his own stuff, right? And how he schemes up the offensive lineman. Tyler Bowen's going to have to. That's his boss now. That's his general. That's the guy he's going to have the answer to. He's going to have some word into it, of course. But Tyler Bowen's only been here for one season. I think that he needs to get some latitude to him. But that's number one. Number two is, what does Sand look like in his offense? Julian Sand, for a redshirt freshman, had an awesome season. Was all Big Ten. Depending on where you looked, had some All-American votes. Then he was in New York for the Heisman ceremony, New York City for the Heisman ceremony. So he had an awesome redshirt freshman season. What you expect going into year two is him to make another jump. Or, I mean, honestly, it'll be his first jump. That's what you're expecting. And him as the offensive coordinator, you are responsible for making sure that does happen. That's just the truth of the matter. And so RPO, play action. And Julian ran a lot of play action this season, so I think he'll be fine in that. But how many opportunities do you give him to throw the ball? Because let's just get to number three. Scheme within the system. There's no way that he's going to go out there and have Ohio State running the ball like the Wolverines do. You're not going to run the ball that much. Close to it, maybe. But I don't see it happening that way. I don't think you're going to go out there and see Bo get 20, another running back get 10 to 15. That's not how I think it's going to work. Now, I also do think that we're going to use a lot of running backs this year. And we're going to talk about that here in the later half of the show, about players I think need to make a jump in the offseason. But I really want to see, because I don't think his job is to come in here and change the system. Of course, it's not. Your job is to come in here and run Ryan Day's offense. Now, you could put a little seasoning on it of your own, just the same way Chip Kelly did. I mean, I guess to an extent of some sort of way, I guess the way Brian Hartline did, if he did it all. But you can go and do that. Like 12, 13 personnel, I think Ryan Day has gotten a little bit more comfortable with that since Chip Kelly was there. So I think you're still going to see not a boatload of it, but you're still going to see that. Also with the fact that Ohio State's gotten some really good tight end depth even before going to the portal and getting some one of the best tight ends in the transfer portal. Top 60 player in the transfer portal, actually. So I think you're going to want to do that. But like I said earlier, this offense, its money is made on the outside. Its money is made on the perimeter. So I really want to see how he's going to go out there, run Day's system while trying to keep his scheme within it. I think that's very important. Now, Chip Kelly, if a lot of people forget the 2024 season, it wasn't slow, but there was things that were still trying to work out. So And with the schedule that Ohio State has this year, he's going to be put on Front Street. There's not going to be any breaks. Texas is real quick. You got Oregon. You got the team up north. You got Indiana. I believe we have Iowa. You have USC. Not an easy schedule. Some really good defenses on that, or supposedly good defenses on that schedule. Really good coaches too. Some of the probably the best coaches in the Big Ten all in one season. So, really interested in. But again, I don't think Ohio State fans have to be overly excited about this. I also don't think Ohio State fans should be overly upset. For some odd reason, I see some are. This is the way I see it. Be in wait and see mode, as I say about everything. Like I said about the transfer portal and everything else, just be in wait and see mode. I honestly don't think we can make any real assessments until the season starts. I don't think we can make real assessments even in the spring game. It's gonna suck. I mean, shout out to the beat writers and shout out to Ohio State allowing beat writers to come in there and see the team and see what they look like during the spring and etc. But I guess I'm just curious. I'm really curious to see how this looks, because just because he's an NFL guy, like I said earlier, doesn't mean I'm going to sit there and just back him up on this and say he's going to be really good at Ohio State. At the same time, it's hard for me to believe that a guy that's respected in NFL circles isn't for any reason. So there are people that believe he is good at his job and in what he's good at. So yeah, and that's what I'm saying, Steve. Yeah, like they are glazing him, and I'm not gonna do that. I'm also not gonna be on the other end, which is just full blown negative Nancy. Like that's just not gonna be me. Also, man, hey, shout out to Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Always good to see you, my friend. Jam says hi, Garrison. Hi, Jam. Always good to see you. And actually, I'll read this real quick. So Jam says, I looked at Bones' experience. He is not an O-line coach prior to being here. Not impressed. No, he was a run game coordinator who was offensive. No, I'm pretty sure he. Maybe I'm wrong, Jam. Maybe I'm wrong. But I thought Tyler Bowen, I know he was a run game coordinator, but I thought he was an O-line coach before. Let's figure this out, because Jam could be. No. At Fordham, O-line coach. Maryland, offensive line coach. Penn State, tight ends and offensive line recruiting coordinator. I'm sorry, offensive recruiting coordinator. And then, so he's been a tight ends coach. I'm sorry, offensive line coach twice in his career, early on. So yeah, over at Maryland and over at Fordham, which is a small school. That was way back in 2016, then also in 2017. But yeah, so I guess Jam, like, he hasn't been that in some time. So yeah, to an extent, yeah, he hasn't been an offensive line coach in some time. But yeah, man. But let me know how you guys feel about this hire. Like on a grade of. On a scale of no, let's not do 1 to 10. Just give me a grade, E to A. Where do you guys give this? I'm somewhere around. I'll give it a B for right now. I'll give it a B, because I want to say a B minus, but this is how I feel about it. All right, Steve. He says C. Steve, real quick, tell me what you give Brian Hartline, because I do think what's getting lost in this conversation is that this isn't a if you want to look at it on a positive side, this is not just a better hire than what we had last year at OC. It's an extreme upgrade from last season. Like, Steve, if you would give him a C, I would give Brian Hartline a D at best. No, I wouldn't even give it a D. I'd give it like a close to a fail. Because at the end of the day, Brian Hartline, that was his first year as an OC, where this guy is tenured and keeps getting hired. So at the Jam, I give you a no hat and a shout out to you, Jam. Appreciate it. But yeah, like, so that's my, I guess, sunshine pumping of it. But that is a fact. He is a better hire than what we had, or offensive coordinator than what we had last season. That's not even arguable. He's just a better OC. I don't. Yeah, I think that you would agree with that, right, Steve? I'm pretty sure of that. But yeah, man. Like I say, give me your grade on this. If you like it, if you don't, where you're, if you have any worries, tell me what they are. If you have any anything you're very highly positive about, like say him scheming up the run game at Ohio State, tell me if it's that. But yeah, everyone, again, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. If you're watching on X, please hit that repost, hit that like, hit the retweet, quote it if you want to. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe if you like the content that we bring you here. My God, I couldn't get that out. Also, hit that hype button. That really helps us get through the algorithm. Does a lot. All that does a lot for us. If you want to send super chats, we don't beg for money here, but if you want to do that, that's also really I don't want to say encouraged, but it's really helpful. But before we continue, everybody, another very quick message here from the voice of college football. Get your business, product, service, or personal brand to the next level by partnering with the voice of college football. And let's discuss how you also can reach your target market. Check out the experience of our current partners that have been winning agency and our partners over at FanDuel, posted here on the screen. And just like them, we are here to deliver for you. Contact us at sponsorships@vocfb.com. Again, that is sponsorships at vocfb.com today. All right. So, yeah, all right. So I heard this. That Coach Keys thought he was telling people that thought he had the job around the building. Listen, I don't know what made him think that. I don't know what Ryan Day said to him. There was no way he was going to be the offensive coordinator at Ohio State. And I thought if anybody it was going to be Tyler Bowen. And even then, I just couldn't see it happening. I don't know what he had done to even. Brian Hartline was a wide receivers coach for 8 years. 8 years. So I don't know what made Coach Keys think. And I don't know how it got through his skull. And I like Coach Keys. He's good at what he does. But I don't know how it happened that he thought, and he was going around telling people, as it's rumored, allegedly, that he was telling people he thought he had the job. My God. No, because I'll tell you what, I tweeted this out. Had that happened, as someone who has been vehemently against the lunatic fringe, I would just have to shut up about this. I would just have to shut up. I wouldn't be able to say anything if Coach Keys was the OC over Ohio State. That would have pissed me off too. I might have joined in. I might have. That really ticked me off. And I get it, Blocko Show. Shout out to you for being here, bro. Like I understand people not wanting it to be inside hire. The only way I could understand it being an inside hire is the fact that you don't want to keep doing one and dones at the OC position, as now 2 years has happened in a row. With that being said, though, you got to go find the best of the best. And if your guys, and if you don't believe that the guys that you have in your camp already aren't one of the best, or possibly one of the best in the country, you can't promote them. Now, Brian Hartline, different situation, different scenario. I think you had to do that. But and yeah, I agree, Baco. Like I didn't mind Hartline being given his shot. He was due for it, right? And he didn't do a horrible job. He just didn't do the best of jobs. Like I would give him a C+ last year. So yeah, I'm yeah, and yeah, you guys are bringing some great points right now. And shout out to you guys. Of course, this is the voice of college football, and you guys are the voices here also. How is this going to affect saying 3 different guys since he was there? Yeah, and thankfully, Yeah, I was gonna try and like sunshine pump that jam, but there's no way I can. I gotta be consistent here because I've always said when you have a lot of different coordinators, I do wonder how that affects the quarterback. So I gotta be consistent here. That is a great point to make, Jam, and that's why I'm really curious because again, no matter who the OC is, you are still under Day's system, but you have your own scheme. There are certain niche things that each OC does themselves. And so I'm very curious now that you bring it up, Jan, and honestly, this might have to be a topic. Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So I'm not going to go on the positives first. The negatives of it is that you're giving him a lot to do in a short years, right? And it's back to back to back. Now, the good thing is that he has Ryan Day as his head coach, and I think Ryan Day is good for any quarterback. And so you have a guy in there that can tutor you through it. But with that being said, these are all guys with their own different schemes. Again, these are schemes within a system, but still guys have their own thing that they do. And so 12, 13 personnel, that's what he does. Nothing has changed from that. More play action, maybe. That might be different for Julian. Because what that also means is that on play action, that also means you probably are going to be rolling out more, right? So for Julian, if he's going to be rolling out more, that means you also going to have to be taking some chances and running the ball, Julian. Running the ball, good brother. And of course, for right now, for Ohio State fans, that's their biggest, not talking point, their biggest criticism of Julian, and it's a fair criticism of him. So for me, I there's that. Does he, does that get coached more into him? I think what you're also probably going to look at is who are we all know who his first read is going to be. But with there being more tight ends out there, with Ohio State having another tight end one that they're going to have in the group, do you look for the tight end a little bit more? For him also, and this is kind of veering off from Julian, but Ohio State has a lot of pretty good wide receivers. I think we have I think we actually have a deep wide receiver room. In comparison to what we had last year. So how are you gonna utilize them? And of course that ties right into Julian. So yeah, I think it's a fair question about how Julian is used and what Julian is going through with now this being his third scheme that he's in 3 straight years. And these are all 3 different schemes. Like Chip Kelly's scheme is not the same as this. But I think overall, when it comes to the passing game, I don't think that's where Arthur Smith's input is going to really be in. I think Arthur Smith was brought to Ohio State to do the same thing that Chip Kelly did. Get the run game going. Get the red zone efficiency back up. I think that's why he's here. So, yeah, but I think it's a fair point that you brought up. It's a very good point because me personally, and I think a lot of Ohio State fans feel this way too, we want to see the more air. We want to see the ball get through the air. We want to see that again. We want to see that 21, 22. I'm going to be honest. I would love to see something like the 2019 offense because even then we were letting Justin go out there and rip it flat out. Balls on the ground. Didn't care. We went out there and did that. So I would like to believe that we can do the same. I mean, we did the same thing with Will Howard when it mattered. So I would like to believe that we will do the same thing here this season. But again, we got to see how Arthur Smith calls these plays. And like I said earlier, I'm not going to bring what he did in the NFL to what he does in college because they could be 2 completely different things. Because at the end of the day, the college game and the NFL game, as similar as they have been, as closer as they've been getting over the last 15, 20 years, they're still very different games. Very different games. But no, shout out to Jam. That was a great point you brought up there, Jam. But yeah, before we continue, everybody, of course, hit that like button. But let's get to our third and final topic here, and that's who do I think needs a big offseason going into the spring and going into the fall, summer and fall, honestly, and going into next season. So first, who I want to start with. We're going to start with the offensive line. Now, the offensive line was not bad this past season. I thought they were pretty good. I thought they were one of the better big offensive lines in the Big Ten. But of course, towards the end of the season, in our two biggest games, they didn't have their greatest outings. Especially in the Miami game. In the Miami game, they were getting muscled out there. So for me, now that we have an offensive line coach, who I think is a pretty good offensive line recruiter, we'll see how he is as a coach still. And now we have an NFL guy who's a college offensive lineman and has been an offensive line guy throughout his career, and a run game guy. I want to see these guys get better. And a lot of it also has to do with how they construct it. As I said earlier, on Thursday we talked about it. At left tackle, I would love to see Carter Lowe. I just want to see him on the field. At left guard, you keep Luke Mont. At center, you probably you keep Hinsman there. Right guard, I would love to see Saraville move back over there. And then right tackle, of course, I would love to see Ian Moore. If Phillip Daniels gets better, then I'm okay with that too. That doesn't really matter to me. But I think those are the guys that have probably the. I think that could possibly, because I'm not gonna say like I know, but I think that could possibly be the higher end offensive line that Ohio State has in terms of talent. Next, also, I think they need to get stronger. Those guys need to get stronger. I think they're pretty big size guys, but they need to get stronger. And also, if we're going to be running a lot of wide zone, these guys have got to get more athletic. And that's on that's on Mick. That's on Mick this offseason, starting now. That's on him to make sure that offensive line gets more athletic. I thought they were decently athletic last year. Mike and I talked about it all offseason. I thought they were to an extent, but they got to be even more now. And that's based off the run game scheme that Arthur Smith likes to go with. Next, I'm going to say the whole running back room. It's a really young room, as we all know. I think there's a lot of talent there. Guys like Turbo, we all know Bo Jackson, Isaiah West. Don't want to forget his name. Brought in a transfer from Florida. Still got to see how that works out. No, he has talent, but I mean, you really didn't play, so I can't really. There's not much to say about him. It's just a prove it thing now. But I really want to see these running backs get stronger. I want to see them make guys miss coming into this new season. Like Bo Jackson, on top, like I've said before, he's had a high school body all season, which also just makes me more impressed of how many tackles he broke. But he's got to get better at making guys miss. He's got to get better at I would say basically getting the extra yardage. And if he can do that, we're working on it. He has a good stiff arm. I will give him that. Like his running style somewhat reminds me of Trey Sermon. You're not the fastest. You're not going to go out there and break off an 80-yarder like that, really. You're not a 4.3, maybe even a 4.4 guy. But you know how to use your body. You have really good balance. You know how to use your stiff arm. Those are the things I like to see out of a running back, and Bo Jackson has that. Isaiah West, really strong runner, likes to put his helmet up in there. I think he has decent balance also. Doesn't make guys miss, but I think he's the type of running back that you do need in your running back room. And then a guy like Turbo Rogers, I really, really, really am high on him because I think he's the guy that can make people miss. So I do want to see him get some run. Hopefully he makes a jump too. Redshirted this past season. And he came in late to Ohio State too, so that's understandable. So yeah, I will say the whole running back room as a whole, they also need to get better at blocking. If we're gonna be running more play action under Arthur Smith, the running backs have to be able to block. And I thought that last year the young guys really struggled with that. Bo Jackson wasn't terrible at it, but there was times in that last season, and you saw the Miami game, he got blown up. Can't have that, especially this season. But I think that's going to come with him getting stronger. Next, I'm going to say our corners. I think the guys that we brought in will be fine. I think those are plug and play guys. I think they deserve that right. And yeah, I think they deserve that right to say that. When it comes to, let's start with Jermaine. I think Jermaine had two different seasons. I thought the first half of the season he was doing really well. I thought he was doing great. He was around the ball. He was making tackles. He was clamping up, getting interceptions, forcing fumbles. Like he was doing everything. Then for some odd reason, in the later half of the year, wasn't the same guy. And of course, he comes back this season, as I think he also knew he needed to. But he's still going to be on the boundary. And so for me, I need to see him make another step. He needs to make another step. And what that step is just consistency. A lot of people, for some odd reason, they get on Coach Walt, but you can't get mad at Coach Walt when you saw Davison Igbinosun take a jump from last season going to his senior year. He did that. So I'm going to expect the same thing out of Jermaine this upcoming season. Next, and by the way, everybody, let me know what your biggest offseason, the players in the rooms that you think need a big offseason going to this next football season also. I do want to see what you guys have to say on this. But next, Devin Sanchez. Now, Devin, true freshman last year, but you saw all the talent. There was times when he had ups. There's times when he had downs. But I was really happy, though, that his best game of the year came in the playoffs against Miami, in the biggest game of the year for Ohio State. Now, did his good game turn into a win? No, but it made me really confident going into this upcoming season and what he can be. He's going to get stronger. He's going to get bigger. He's going to get faster. He's going to work on his technique and his skill. I know the whole Sanchez camp, his family, they're going to make sure he's right. They're going to do everything they can to make sure their son is fine. So, and Ohio State's going to do the same with Ryan Day and Coach Walt and Matt Patricia. So I'm really excited to see what he looks like, but he has to get better. He has to. Because I think if those two, in conjunction with the guys that Ohio State brought in the secondary, if those two are able to get better and make another jump, that secondary is going to be elite. I think it's going to be good right now. But if those two can really make that jump, it's going to be elite. Because also, I mean, you have Jalen McClain coming back. The starting five back there from corner, safety, nickel is already booked. We all know who's going to start those five positions. But I think those two guys really, really need to make that jump, because if they can lock down that boundary, I think that does a lot for the safety nickel, the nickel back, and the two safeties back there, who I think going into this year, I think those are the three best DBs on the team. So there's that. And then my last one is two specific players also on the defense. It's Zion and Epi. Last year they were freshmen. Zion, of course, got on the field a little bit more than Epi did, and Zion was in the two deep. And Zion played really well last season. I thought he did for a true freshman. I can't wait to see what he looks like. Again, another guy that had a high school body out there playing, but playing really well and playing strong. And so for him, I mean, if you're a true freshman at Ohio State or any other big-time program, but specifically Ohio State, if you're a true freshman on the defensive line and Larry Johnson has enough confidence to throw you out there in high-leverage games and high-leverage situations, I have to believe that going into this year, he believes that you are going to be a guy, not a jag, but a guy for this team. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does. And then moving on to Epi, didn't play a whole lot last year, played sparingly. But I think that he's overlooked for multiple reasons. I don't think he should be. I think he's a damn good athlete. Coming, out of Bosco, out of California. He's the kid has it. He has the talent. And truth be told, he's probably there's no way that teams out west weren't trying to hit him up. That's the best way I'm gonna say that. There's no way that wasn't happening. And so for him to stay at Ohio State and to stay in Larry Johnson's team and stay on Ryan Day's team and with Matt Patricia as the DC, it shows that he feels as though he's right where he needs to be and that he can play at Ohio State. And I believe he can too. And I think that if Epi is able to make that jump going into this season, that's going to bolster this defensive line, specifically in the edge room. We got Kenyatta, we got Zion, we got Russo. I don't know how to really say it, but that's how I say Quay Russo. But if Epi is able to take a jump and be a guy that consistently be on the field, like there's no real drop off from him, that solidifies a 4 deep right there for Ohio State, or a 2 deep right there for Ohio State, with 4 guys that can go out there and make plays. I mean, even Quay Russo honestly has to show and prove himself too. And Zion to I mean, honestly, the whole edge room does. I think Kenyatta could have been playing better last season, but that I think Kenyatta's fine. I think Kenyatta's a really good player. But yeah, I think if Epi and Zion can do that, that's going to do a whole lot for this defense and what it could be going to next season. So again, the 4 spots I think Ohio State needs to have, the 4 rooms or players I think Ohio State has a big offseason. The running back room, O-line, especially Carter Lowe and Ian Moore, Zion and Epi, and Jermaine Matthews. So let me know, who do you guys think needs a big offseason this year? Let me see. Jam says Schleggs is back. So the beast is there here. Yeah, I think he's going to be really good for Ohio State this season. Steve, he says, great point on O-line getting stronger in weight room. Yeah, man, it's just the truth, man. Like, it's not even just stronger. Like what we had back in the old days, BFS, bigger, faster, stronger. They need that whole system. Because if you're going to run wide zone, you got to be able to do that. You got to be able to move, and you got to be able to move people. Like at the end of the day, football is about imposing your will. And if Tyler Bono isn't already doing this, you got to believe, based on his MO, Arthur Smith is going to challenge these guys to get bigger, faster, and stronger, and make, especially laterally, to make sure that they can go and run what he wants to run. By the way, shout out to my friend Doreen for reposting. Always thankful for you, my friend. Also, if you would like to become a member like Doreen, like Jam, go ahead and hit that join button where you can see our 3 tiers, that being the Blocko Club. JT wasn't short, and we don't give a damn, and you know the rest. But yeah, shout out to you, Doreen. Always love you, my friend. Yeah, she's also the wrist. Yeah, get better, man. You got, hey, you know what? No, you got to do wrist workouts like that. Do that. I have really tiny wrists, so like I always had to do that, and like and wear wrist wrap in football. I was in high school and college. But yeah, I really think, yeah. See, there we go. Sand, we need to beef him up. I agree with that. I think that if he can get up to 215, that's where we probably want him. I mean, he's 6'1" right now. I think he played around 208, so another 7 pounds would do him right. I mean, go Big Max. I mean, listen, he's not going to get Big Max. He can get prime rib whenever he wants. That guy has the best resources at Ohio State and get damn near eat anywhere for free. So, yeah, he does need to put on some weight, though. I'm fully with you there, Doreen. But yeah, everyone, again, thank you for being here, everybody. Of course, if you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe to the channel. Jam. Of course, if you haven't already, check out the rest of the shows that we have throughout the week. Wednesday, you can catch Mark at 11 a.m. on Wednesdays. And then on Thursdays, come in for the call-in show. That is your guys' day to talk about what you want to talk about. I do get tired of hearing myself talk, because you can find me on X Spaces, talk with all the guys I mess with there. Shout out to them. But yeah, I get tired of hearing myself talking eventually. So come Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, Eastern Standard Time, and join the call-in show. But again, thank you for being here, everybody. Of course, like, share, subscribe to the channel. And as always, OH, IO.